Here I am. Here I ואני אשיר עוזך, פרננה בוקר חסדך, כי היית משגב לי ומנוס ביום צרי. ואני אשיר עוזך, פרננה בוקר חסדך, כי היית משגב לי ומנוס ביום צרי.
אני לפניך רוח וקיים מודה אני לפניך מלך וקיים מודה אני לפניך רוח וקיים מודה אני לפניך מלך Thank God you are here. It's amazing to be not just davening to an empty sanctuary, or except for Paul, our amazing tech helper, Mensch. Shabbat shalom, everyone. And Shabbat shalom to those that are still coming, and Shabbat shalom to all of you still in the cyber world. We're so grateful to have everyone here, bringing your full neshamas, your full souls to be present. We are grateful to have this Shabbat a number of people here in the sanctuary as we continue our journey towards the promised land of, reopening here. And look forward to davening and giving up to the Holy One and celebrating Shabbat together and reading from the Torah and hearing our kids read from the Torah. It's going to be really very special. Hopefully you'll have the nachas and the joy. And lift up your prayer. That's what we're here for gratitude, for blessing, and remembering our core of each other, this community, and our relationship with the power beyond us. So we begin our prayer service on page 103. We rise together for morning blessings of gratitude, Birchot HaShachar.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan nesach bivina להבחין בין יום ובין לילה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני בצלמו.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני בת חורים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני ישראל.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם פוקח עברי.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מלביש ערומים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מתיר אסורים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם זוקר גבובים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם רוקע הארץ על המים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המכין מצעדי גבר.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשה לי כל צורכי.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם עוזי צל בגבורה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם הנותן יאהב גוה.
אמן.
122.
ברוך
שעבר היה עולם ברוך הוא ברוך עושה בראשים ברוך עושה מקיים ברוך מרחם וסחתו ברוך זה מלך העולם רחמן בעולם
יחיד חעולמי
מלך משובח
ומפרעתי את שמו הגדול ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מעולל ותשבחו.
Amen. You may be seated, everyone.
So Shabbat Shalom, Chevra. It's so good to be together. Again, both those who are here in body and those whose presence we feel still in the ethers. This week's Torah portion is Shlach Lecha. It's the famous story of Moses sending out 12 spies to investigate the land, the promised land, Canaan, and to see what they might need to expect as they take the next steps forward in their journey. And of course, there are 10 spies, Meraglim, who look out and see, they see the beauty of the land, but they are also really consumed by their fears about their ability to navigate the challenges that they see in themselves and in the land itself. And then there are two of the spies, Joshua and Caleb, who also see the difficulty, who are aware of their own sense of fears, perhaps their inadequacies, but they also have a spirit of, yes, we will surely go up. We can do this together. And I want to suggest that that is actually a metaphor also for what happens internally for each one of us. That we kind of have our own set of 12 spies who live in our hearts and our minds. And it's important, and Shabbat and Tefillah and prayer in general can be a time where we sort of turn up the volume on our inner Joshua and Caleb, and turn down the volume on the 10 spies who are sort of consumed with their own fears and inadequacies. So can we listen more deeply to that voice that is readily able to perceive the truth with all of its difficulty and challenge, but also knows that within us dwells a deep and enduring well of strength and capacity to meet whatever moments come our way. So we're going to continue this morning with praise, with gratitude, with lifting up that inner voice of Joshua and Caleb that lives within each one of us. We're going to continue with Psukei de Zimra, with Ashrei, which is found on page 136. And I'll just bring our loving attention to about 9-ish lines down. It says, Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav. That God is good to all. God's mercy and compassion extends to all God's creations. And over these last months, as I have davened this line here, I've really focused on the tov, the good, that we could connect over the distance in ways that in generations past we never could. But today, for me, the tov is that we can do that, and we get to do this. And this is very, very good. Very tov. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od yalu chasela.
אשרי עם שככה לו, אשרי עם שאדוני אלוהיו.
תהילה לדוד, ארמימך אלוהי המלך, ואברכה שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, ועלה שמך לעולם ועד.
ועד אדוני מולן מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
דור דור שבח מסך וגבורתך יגידו.
הדר כבוד הודך בדברי נפלותיך שיחה.
ועזוז נורותיך יאמרו דלתך ספרנה.
זכר אב טובך יביאו וצדקתך ירננו.
חנון וחום אדוני רחפיים וגדול חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל המעשיך וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו גבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך נא לכל הנופלים וזוקף לכל הכיפופים.
עיניך לך יסברו ותנתן להם את אוכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך ומשביע לכוחי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו וחסין בכל מעשיו.
קרוב נא לכל קוראיו לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר נא את כל אוהביו את כל רשעים ישמיד.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פיו ורב יברך כל בשר שם קדשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך את אדוני.
Continue on page 141 with Psalm 150, perhaps thinking back on your week, thinking about something specific or some things specifically for which you're grateful, in which you feel a sense of just authentic and open-hearted praise arising in your soul. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. El bikocho, hallelujah, ki auzo, hallelujah, vivorata, hallelujah, erogolo, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. B'tek hashofar, hallelujah, b'neve v'chinor, hallelujah, b'tof u'machol, hallelujah, b'mini v'ogav. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. צלצל שמה, הללו, וצלצל תרועה, כל הנשמה דהלליה, כל הנשמה דהלליה, הללויה, 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 הללויה.
We take a deep breath, nishima amuka. As we prepare for nishmat kol chai, the breath of every living being is its own prayer. It's enough.
Bottom 146.
Miyid mela,
Umish mela, umiarola.
Hagadol hagibor
Panora.
El Elyon kone shamayim va'aretz. Le'elecha neshabechecha npa'erecha nvarech et shem kodshecha kamur.
Le'David barchim yashirnai, le'chor ramai, et shem kodsho. 147. Hagadol b'kvod shemecha. Hamelech hayoshev ha'gizera v'nizah.
Shochenan marom v'kadosh shemo.
V'chatoranu tzadikim b'Adonai yeshayim nava tehila.
Sharim titala.
U'divrei tzadikot titbarach.
V'lashon chasdim titroma.
ובקרב קדושים יתקדש מגלות רבבות חרד ישראל. להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפעול, לרומם, להדר, לברך, להולך, להלס על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות. דוד בן ישי, עבדך, משיחך, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. מלך הגדול הקדוש בשמיים, ברכו ומתחבר עולם.
ברכות והודות מתהווה עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, המלך גדול בתשבחות, על הודעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה,
מלך העולמים, אמן.
יתגדל ויתגדל מצוותיו שמרה בה.
Amen.
תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובמכון ובחטא כל בית ישראל. בגלה בזמן קריב ימרו.
Amen. ישמע במורה לעולם המאמיה.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפור ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה.
בריחו.
לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה וימרו.
Amen. 149.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. 150.
ברוך
אתה
אתה
ברוך אתה
אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצרו ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל הכל יודוך והכל ישבחוך והכל יאמרו אין קדוש כאדוני הכל ירומוך סלע יוצר הגול בודה ביום גדוש המזרח הוציא חמה ממקומה ונאמרים חמשייה ודבר מקדש ואיני מעשה באשים אדוני זה נשוא מסכבן מגיני שמסכב בעדינו כרכך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה
יהיה
ויהיה
זולתך
מתקן עליך חיי עולם
הווה
אפס פיותיך גאולנו את המשיח
ואין מלחשיינו
בתחיית המתים
151
אל
אדון
אדון
כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך
ותיקון
נשמה גדלו וטובו לעולם דעת ותבונה סובב עמותו המתקהל חיות הקודם נדע בכבוד מרכבם זכות ומשעולי לפני כריסו עזר ורחמים
מפני
כבודו טוב עם מאורו שברא אלוהינו יצרם בדע בבינה ובשכל כוח וגבורה נתן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב אבן להם זיו ומפיקים נוגה נעזיבם
בכל
העולה זרחים בצאתם ששים בבואם עושים בימם קונם בר וכבוד נותנים לשמות צורה ורינה מלכותו קרא לשמש ויזרח אורה והדגין צורת הלבנה שבע נותנים לו גודבם מרון דיבר וגדולה
סרפים
יופנים
ואופנים
וחיות הגודל 152
לאל אשר
שבה
מכל
המעשים יום
המעשים
השביעית עליו ישב בכיסא כבודו שבו שבה מלאכתו בזמן שמשב טוב להודות לאדוני לפי חלום תרבץ למכן השתבח שירנו שלום כולם עומדים משמיעים top 153
כולם
העולים
כולם
ועולים
כולם
מכפישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, החשוב. למקבלים עליהם או מלכות שמיים זה מזה, נותנים רשות זה לזה, להיות רוח רוח
בשפה
ברורה ובנעימה, קדוש העולם כאחד, ביראה קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, חרד עבדו והפנים והחיות הכותב ורעש גדול,
מנסים לעומת
שרפים
שרפים
ומטה
משבחים
אומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני, מולל ברוך נימוד את לך וקיים שכל אשר במלחמה. ציון תאיר ונזכרו לנו מהרה לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני יוזר המאורות. Amen. 154, we grab the four corners of our tzitziot, bind them as one, prepare for Shema Yisrael. So the prayer of God's love, 154, directly into Shema Yisrael. אהבתנו אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ותרחמת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו ברוך דורנו, כן תכוננו רשמנו. וארננו בשם קודשך נגנו.
קרבתנו לשמך תעשה באמת להודות לך ויחדך ביאהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ובכל ידיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ושופך וקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לו תותפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. 156 ועים שמוע איש ושלחים מצוותכם ותבטר ארצכם ביתו יום. לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים וכיסא נכון ומלכותו באמונתו
לעד קיים. 157 זה ישראל עבדיך ראשונים אחרונים, וכל מיני אמת ונאמנות.
שאתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו ואמותינו גואלנו גואל אבותינו ואמותינו יוצרנו תורשותינו מודנו מצלנו מלם שמך אלוהים זולתך עזרת אבותינו ואמותינו אתה ומעולם.
Middle 158.
תהילות לאל עליון ברוך ומברק משה ומרים בני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה אמרו כולם מי כמוך בעלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלול לעולם ועד צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ופתחנו בך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני ישראל.
So חבר'ה, face Yerushalayim, Israel. Pages 159 through 161 will daven together of our standing prayer, the Amidah. The next several pages are done silently. Chance for each of us to open up our heart. For many of us here in the sanctuary this Shabbat, it might be the first time back in shul in a long time. Chance to really be grateful and to look back on this time and be proud of our resilience, our ability with God's help to make it to this moment. So take time to be grateful. On Shabbat, a time to not worry about what's not happening, but I think be grateful for what is happening, where we've made it. Not to the promised land yet, possibly, but getting closer. So pages 159 to 161, we daven together. The rest is silent prayer.
Adonai
Sifatay Tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Zara Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו ויאהבה מלך עוזר ופוקד מושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע מוריד אתה מחכה חיים בחסד מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עבר מחמוך בגבורות ומדומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני לחיי המתים נקדש את שמך בעולם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרוע משמים כל ונזיר לאור הזרעי לאור הדברו יאמרו ברוך אדוני ממקומך מלכנו תביע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לה אתה תמלוך וציון תקרוב בימינו לעולם ותזכור תזכרה ותזכרה בתוך ירושלים נראה לדור ודור נצח נצחים ועינינו תראינה מלכותך כדבר אמור בשירי עוזך על ידי דוד משיח זכרך דור לעולם אלי ציון לדור ודור הללויה
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפנינו לשני עולם ועד כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אתה אדוני
בשמו Continue silent prayer.
Say shalom bimromav Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imenu יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בהרבה דברי אחריתי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון ובמכון, ובחיי תכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ויאמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולם יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם וינסה, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה
בריחו.
לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחת ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה והימרו,
אמן.
תתקבל צלתנו ואתן תוך ישראל, קדם אבו נפש מי והימרו,
אמן.
יהי שלום הרב שמיה, וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל והימרו,
אמן.
אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו,
הוא יעשה שלום.
עלינו וכל ישראל, וכל יושבי תבל והימרו,
אמן.
אין כמוך אלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור
אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן.
אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
עמי היטיבה ברצונך את ציון.
תבנה
חומו ירושלים. Please rise. מלך ונישא עד עולמים.
ויהי בנשוא אהרון ויאמר משה
קומה אדוני ויעבדו ימיך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי בציון תצא תורה כי בציון תצא תורה ונאמר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה ברוך שנתן תורה
לעמו ישראל
וקדושת לו. Page 171, responsively from our amazing Miss Hunter, Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Ahad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Ahad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shema.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol. All turn towards the archives, okay? Gadol Shema, Gadlul Adonai iti, Oneram Emashem. Naleha Adonai Agedula, Agevura, Atiberet, Ve'aneza ve'ahod, Yichol HaShamayim, Aretz Yichol HaShamayim,
ובארץ לך
Adonai Amamlach,
ועמית
Naseh,
Holy
Rosh.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו
השתחוו לאדום רגליו, קדשו, רומם אלוהינו, השתחוו.
וישתחוו להר קודשו
Guys,
כי
we
קדוש אדוני
How proud are we?
אלוהינו יאללה יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 ידה 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 יאללה יאללה לה 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 יאללה יאללה לה 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 יאללה יאללה לה 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 לה
Ya, 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 so fantastic to see everyone here. We're actually here at the Gabbai table again. This has been a while. We're very excited to have our amazing middle schoolers already rocking it. Some of them pre-B'nai Mitzvah, some of them post-B'nai Mitzvah. Going to do all kinds of honors and readings, as well as some of our leaders and adults and all kinds of stuff. Oh, we have a special Shabbos. All right. So you can open up your larger red books called the Chumashim. We're on page 845 in the Chumashim. As Rabbi Jenny noted before, it's Parshat Shlach Lecha. This is the famous story of getting ready into the Promised Land, the land of Canaan, and the spies are sent out. This is going to read that story. So we're in chapter 14, verse 8, page 845. Vayazor ve'egim v'shuasim v'nomar mein hakol havu godol le'eloheinu udno kavod laTorah tamoda Laila Blum bat Moshe Kohen rachli lana L'Aliyah Rishona Baruch Shatan To'alamo Yisrael B'Yushato V'atem Avigim Adonai Lechem Chayim Hayom.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Im chafetz banu Adonai v'hiviotanu el haaretz hazot untana lanu eretz asher hi zavat chalav udvash ach ba'adonai al timrodu ve'atem al tiru et am haaretz ki lachmenu heim tzar tzilam me'alehem ve'adonai itanu al tira'um Ve'omru kol ha'etah lirgomotam b'avanim ukvod Adonai nira ba'ohel moed el kol b'nei
Yisrael. Shkochech.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam natah b'toheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. It's a new fist bump here. Shikoyach. All right, Ladish. Shikoyach. Our second Aliyah. We are on verse 11, page 846. Come on down. Yamona. Mo'or. Mi beit Hanalea va'ereg. L'Aliyah Shenit. It's the second Aliyah, verse 11, page 846.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai. No, Baruch Adonai Barach. Yeah. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai
Noten ha'Torah. Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe Adonai yana'atzuni ha'am hazeh v'Adonai lo ya'minu bihi b'chol ha'otot asher asita b'kirbaho achenu b'dever v'orishenu v'eseh otcha l'goy gadol v'atzumi menu vayomer Moshe el Adonai v'shamu Mitzrayim ki alita b'chochacha et ha'am hazeh mikirbaho v'yamru el yoshev ha'aretz hazot Shamu ki atah Adonai b'kerev ha'am hazeh asher ayin ba'ayin nira atah Adonai v'yanadcha amud omed alehem avu amud anahan atah holech lifnechem yomam uv'amud eish balayla ve'hem atah ta'am hazeh ke'ish echad v'yamru hagoyim asher shamu et שמעך לאמור מביתי יכול את אדוני להביא את העם הזה אל הארץ אשר נשבע להם וישחטם במדבר ואתה יגדל נא כוח אדוני כאשר דיברת לאמור אדוני ערך אפיים ורב חסד נושא עוון והפשע ונקה לא ינקה פוקד עוון אבות על בנים על שלישים ועל רבעים סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נשאת על העם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כי יברך.
שכוייח, כל הכבוד.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natav v'tachenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shkoyach. Awesome job. Let's start over here. Third Aliyah. We're on verse 21, page 847. Yamod. Avraham ben Naphtali v'Sela, Aliyah Hashlishit. Third Aliyah, verse 21.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'ulam chai ani v'yimalei chavod Adonai et kol haaretz ki chol ha'anashim haro'im et kavodi ve'et ototai asher asiti v'mitzrayim uva'midbar v'yinasu oti ze eser pe'amim v'lo shama'u b'koli im yir'u et haaretz asher nishbati la'avotam v'chol mena'atzai lo yir'uha ve'avdi chalev ekev hayata ruach acheret imo v'yimale acharai v'havi otiv el haaretz asher ba'ashama v'zar'o yorishena v'ha'amaleki v'ha'kanaani yoshev ba'emek machar penu us'u lachem hamidbar derech
Yam
yamsu.
Shkoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shkoyach. Shkoyach. Give the fist bump, man. Don't think this me. All right, there we go. I love you. Shkoyach. So, such nachas. All right, we are on the fourth Aliyah. We are on verse 26, page 847. Kathy has a very short reading, I see. Okay, who's our fourth Aliyah? Here we go with the tennis racket. All right. Yamod Shayadov, Ben Ephraim David, Rachel Chana, Aliyah Revi'it.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Baruch atah Adonai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'daber Adonai Moshe v'Aaron lemor ad matai lo hidar ha'atzot asher hem ha'malinim alai et lunot b'nei Yisrael asher hem ha'malinim alai shamati emor alehem Chai Aninu Adonai Lo Kasher Divartem Ve'oznai Kain Eseh Lachem Bamidbar Hazeh Yiblu Vigrechem V'chol Pekudechem V'chol Mizparchem Mi bein esrim shana v'mala Asher halinotem halayim atem tavohu el haaretz Asher nasati et yadi l'shachein etchem B'hakim kalei ben Yefunah Behoshua bin Nun V'tavechem Asher amartem lavaz yeh Be'veiti otam v'yadahu V'yadahu et haaretz asher ma'astem baha Ufigrechem hatem yiblu b'midbar hazeh Uvnechem yihu rohim b'midbar Arba'im shana v'nasuhu et zinutechem Adom pigrechem Bamidbar, b'mispar hayamim, asher tartem et haaretz, arba'im yom lashana, tishu et avonotechem, arba'im shana vidatem et tenuati, ani Adonai diborti, imlo Zot eseh lechol ha'edar hazot ano adim alai b'midbar azeh yitamu v'sham yamutu v'ha'anashim asher shalach Moshe latur et haaretz v'yashu v'yalinu alav et kol ha'edar lehotzii diba haaretz Vayamutu ha'anashim motziei dibat haaretz ra'ah b'magefa livnei Adonai v'Hoshua bin Nun v'Chalev ben Yefuneh chayu min hanashim hahem aholechim latoret haaretz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Kathy's back.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yisher koach. I want to say we are proud of everybody in this class and everyone who's reading and doing everything. But I want to make a special shout out to the Harrison and Glickstein family who moved here to Raleigh during the pandemic and have not had a chance to get to know people maybe through this Shabbos and other things. We're so proud of you for how you guys have persevered and did such an impressive job. We're so grateful to have your family here. And everybody hope you'll get to know them over a little bit of time. They enjoy tennis a little bit, so we have something shared in common, all right? Yisher koach. We're proud of you, man. Yisher koach. Had a bar mitzvah and even during pandemic, didn't even know anybody here yet. God willing. It'll only continue. All right. Now we're our fifth Aliyah. We are verse 39, page 849. We invite our golden kippah honoree, I understand, and her parents. All right. Yamdu Chaim Leib ben Yitzchak Velvel b'simcha tova v'Leah bat Avram u'Dvorah l'Aliyah hachamishit. So our fifth Aliyah, verse 39.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Moshe et hadavarim ha'eleh el kol b'nei Yisrael vayitabelu ha'am me'od vayashkimu v'boker vaya'alu el rosh hahar lemor hinenu ve'alinu el hamakom asher amar Adonai ki hatanu vayomer Moshe lama zeh atem overim et pi Adonai v'hi lo titzlach al ta'alu ki Ein Adonai b'kirbechem velo tinagvu lifnei oivechem.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So this is a very special moment, very special moment. First of all, if I understand, Beth, you've been serving for, is that true, 7 years? How many years have you been, is it 7?
I think so.
Oh my God, that's like, 7 in the Torah is a full cycle. Beth, you've been the leader of the committee or on the committee for 7 years?
I think I've chaired.
You've chaired it for 7 years. I can't believe that. Gaval. Beth's been the chair of the religious school education committee for that time. So you also get nachas because you've been supportive of that. We know, and no volunteer is able to do it without the support of partner. We are so incredibly grateful for all of your service, particularly during this challenging time as well. It means the world. But for a moment, you are chopped liver, because now we're going to focus on the more amazing thing is we have an opportunity that we hope everyone in this room will aspire for, which is our Golden Kippah Award honoree. It is 5 readings of the Torah, chanting beautifully by Alyssa, post-Bar and Bat Mitzvah experience, which she persevered to do, even now again with the end of the pandemic, amazingly, Alyssa. But what you demonstrated is you took this skill you learned, this thousands of years skill, and you not only brought it into your bat mitzvah, of course, but you have shown that you can take it into your life. It's now part of your heart and part of your soul. And I know actually, by the way, because I know Beth's parents even as well, really care about Jewish education. This is really Lador Vador, passing it on. And we are so incredibly proud of you and grateful to you. So not only we get this golden kippah, it'll be a special sign, hopefully remember, of this special Shabbat and all the commitment. We hope you'll continue reading beautifully as you do. And really to say that the Torah is yours. You know, you really have owned it. And I believe, in fact, we also have a plaque as well in the shul that will have your name as well. We will be etched in it as well. So, no pressure, Jewish guilt, anybody. But if you would be interested in aspiring to be like Alyssa, we would love to see as many that feel comfortable to go for this, because it's actually a gift. We give this to you on behalf of a grateful congregation and say, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simin Tov, Elano, 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 Ore Israel, Elano, Elano, Ore Israel, Elano, Elano, Ore Israel, Elano, Elano, Ore Israel. Mazel Tov, Alyssa, Yishikoach. Well earned and deserved. May it only continue from Chal to Chal. Mazel Tov to the parents too. All right, Yishikoach. All right, you guys are free. On the other side here. Tov. We now turn to our 6th Aliyah. It's like so good to have all the old Raiders back again. Randy's here. All right. 6th Aliyah. We're in verse 43, page 849. And one of the leeches for an Aliyah. Charlotte. Tamot Chayalea bat Yaakov Brian Esther Aliyah Hashishit. So 6th Aliyah, page 849, verse 43.
Baruch atah Baruch et Adonai Havorach.
Baruch Adonai Havorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki hamaleki v'hakanani sham livnechem unefaltem mecherev ki alkein shavatem mecharei Adonai v'lo yihiyeh Adonai imachem vayapilu le'elod rosh hahar v'aron b'rit Adonai Moshe lo mashu mikerev hamachaneh vayirel hamaleki v'kanani hayoshev bahar hahu vayakum vayakatum ad hacharemaha. Vayadaber Adonai al Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael. Vamarta alehem hitavo. El eretz moshevotechem. Asher ani notein lachem. Va'asitem ishel Adonai. Ola setzebach lefale neder. Ovinidavaha. Ovinida o moadechem. Laso reach nichoach. L'Adonai min habachar min hatzon.
Shekach Randi. Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Shekach. Charlotte, it's good to see you. I feel like this is your life. You can elbow here, elbow Charlotte. There we go. Okay, there you go. All right. Okay, we got this side. Try this side. Okay, so we are now on the 7th Aliyah, verse 4. I see Evan Weinstein's going to be doing the read. Okay, also Aliyah, double. Okay, shkoyach. Yamod Yochanan Asher ben Fishaleh ben HaKohen v'fegel Chava l'Aliyah Shvi'it. Are you reading it? Okay, double. All right. Okay, you know your spot? You know your spot there? Okay. Oh, he's got it. You take over, Evan. You do it.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Vehi kriv hamakriv karbano Adonai mincha solet isaron balul bervi'it hahin shaman v'yayin lanesach revi'it hahin ta'aseh al ha'olah zavach La kevesh ha'echad la zava la ayil ta'aseh mincha soled shenei asronim balula bashaman shlishi tahin ve'yayin lanesach shlishi tahin takriv rech nichoach
L'Adonai Shekoyach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Shekoch. And we way to go. And we may rise together, please. We're going to offer now a special prayer for healing. For healing. This service is healing. Thank God. This Shabbos is so healing. This Nach is here. Kol hakavod, Evan. All right. So as we pause in the midst of this prayer, I invite you to offer quietly the names of those who are holding in your heart, who are in need of healing, those who are sadly suffering from illnesses that we can see with our eyes, and those also we can't necessarily see with our eyes. I invite you to offer quietly their names as we offer this prayer. Mi shebeirach avotenu, Avram Yitzhak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarivka Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech v'rapeh et hacholim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimele Rachamim Aleihem Lachzikan Rapotam Ve'yishlach Lem Rafua Shlema Min HaShamayim Fuat HaNefesh Fuat HaGuf B'toch Shar Cholim V'chazek Yedei Oskim B'tzarcheihem Shabbat Minizol Krofa Krova Levo Ashta Baglav Izman Kariv V'nomar Amen. May the Holy One who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah bring blessing and healing to all those we pray for. May the Holy One mercifully restore them to health and vigor, granting them spiritual and physical well-being, together with all others who are ill. And may God grant strength to those who tend to them. The Shabbat is a time to refrain from crying out. We yet hope and pray that healing is at hand, and let us say together. Amen. ויתגדל ויתקדש מרבה,
אמן.
יאמר וחירותי ומגמל גודיה, ביום אחד, או חיירו בית ישראל, בגלה, ובזמן גריבים ימרו, אמן. יש מרב ומבורך, לעולם ולעלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמר קודשם בריחו לעילם מכל ברכתה ושירתה דורכתה ונחמתה תמירן ויאמרו amen. Be seated, everyone. Mafter Aliyah, verse 4, page 850. Invite Yaakov Moshe. Yamod Yaakov Moshe. Ben Eliyahu Rachel Leah La Maftir. So Mafter Aliyah, verse 4, page 850.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vehi kriv hamakriv karbano Adonai mincha solet isaron balu bervi'i tahin shaman veyayin lanesech revi'i tahin ta'aseh al ha'olah olah zavach lakeves ha'echad Ala ayil ta'aseh mincha solet shenei esronim balulaha vashemen shlishi tahin v'yayin lanesech shlishi tahin takriv riach nichoach
L'Adonai. Shekoach. Again, Evan. Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Shekoach of Moshe. Okay, we now rise together to lift and dress the Torah. This has been a while. I'll even call up the Patriot fan against my own best wishes. All right, Yamod. Here, we're going to cover that. Yamod Yitzchak Yosef ben Shrag Shimon HaKohen LaMagbiya Tamod Saramash Shabbat Chaim Mata Hagolelet Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Livnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai We now turn to the Haftarah, be offered by Yaakov Moshe, page 857. It's the book from the book of Joshua, 857.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bin v'im tovim V'ratzav v'divreihem ha'ne'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'inviei ha'emet b'tzedek. Vayishlach Yehoshua bin Nun min hashitim shenayim anashim meragelim cheresh lemor lechu re'u et haaretz ve'et Yericho vayelechu vayavo'u Beit Isha Zona Ushema Rachav Vayishkevu Shama Vayamar Lemelech Yericho Lemor Hine Anashim Ba'u Heina Halayla Mi B'nei Yisrael Lach Poret haaretz, vayishlach melech Yericho el Rachav lemor, hotzi ha'anashim haba'im elayich asher ba'u leveitech, ki lach poret kol haaretz ba'u. Vatikach ha'isha et shenei ha'anashim vatitzpeno vatomer kein ba'u elai ha'anashim velo yadati me'ain hema vayhi hashar liskor B'choshech v'ha'anashim yatza'u lo yadati ana halechu ha'anashim ridfu maher acharehem ki tasigum vehi helatam hagaga v'tit menem b'fishtei ha'etz ha'aruchot la al hagag v'ha'anashim radfuhu acharehem derech hayarden al hamabirot v'hashar sagaru acharei ka'asher yatzeu harodifim acharehem vehema terem yishkavun vehi aleta alehem al hagag vatomer el ha'anashim yadati kinatan Adonai lachem et haaretz vechi nafela ematchem aleinu vechi namogu kol yoshvei haaretz mipnechem ki shamanu et asher hovish Adonai et meyom suf mipnechem betzetechem mimitzrayim va'asher asitem lishnei malchei ha'emori asher be'ever hayarden lesichon ul'og asher hecheramtem otam vanishmaha vayimas levavenu velo kama ohod ruach beish mipenechem ki Adonai Elohechem hu Elohim bashamayim mima'al v'al haaretz mitachat ve'ata hishav'una li badonai ki asiti imachem chased v'asitem gamatem im beit avi chesed untatem li ot emet ve'hachayitem et aviv et imi ve'et achai ve'et achiotai ve'et kol asher lahem ve'hitzaltem et nafshotechem mimavet vayomeru lahanashim nafshenu tachtechem lamut im lo tagidu et divarenu zeh v'haya betet Adonai lanu et haaretz ve'asinu imach chesed ve'emet v'toridem b'chevel be'ad hachalon ki ve'ta be'kir hachoma uvachoma hiyoshavet v'tomer lahem ha'haralechu pen yifgeu v'chem harodefim v'nach beitem shama shaloshet yamim ahad shov harodfihim ve'achar telechu ledarkechem vayomeru eleha ha'anashim nikiyim anachnu mishevuatei chazeh asher hishbatanu hine anachnu va'im ba'aretz et tikva chut hashani hazeh tiksheri b'chalon asher haroteinu vo ve'et avich ve'et imech ve'et achayich ve'et kol beit avich ta'asfi elayich habaita v'haya kol asher yetzeh midal tevetei chachutza damo v'rosho ve'anachnu nekiyim v'chol asher yihyeh itach b'bayit damo v'roshenu im yad tihyeh bo ve'im tagidi et divarenu zeh ve'hayinu nekiyim mishvuatech asher hishbatanu vatomer kedivrechem kenhu vatashlichem vayelechu vetikshor et tikvat hashani b'chalon vayelechu vayavo'u hahara vayeshivu sham sheloshet yamim ad shavu harodefim ויבקשו הרודפים בכל הדרך ולא מצאו. וישובו שני האנשים וירדו מההר. ויעברו ויבואו אל יהושע בן נון ויספרו לו את כל המוצאות אותם. ויאמרו אל יהושע כי נתן אדוני בידינו כל הארץ וגם נמוגו כל יושבי הארץ מפנינו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם צור כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות. האל הנאמן האומר ועושה המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמנים דבריך ודבר אחד מדבריך אחור לא ישוב ריקם כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הנאמן בכל דבריו.
אמן.
רחם על ציון כי היא בית חיינו ולעלובת נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני שמח ציון בבניה.
אמן.
שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו באליהו הנביא עבדך ובמלכות בית דוד משיחך במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו על כיסאו לא ישב זר ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן דוד.
אמן.
על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד
ותפארת.
על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Shekoyach, Yaakov Moshe. Beautiful job. We now rise together, Chaver. We're getting prepared to return the Sefer Torah to the Ark. Before we do, we turn to page 180 in your Sidurim to announce the new month of Tammuz in our Hebrew calendar. Tammuz is the equivalent of the summer. It's like the summertime in our Jewish calendar period. So let's read together on page 180 at the top on the left in English. May it be your will, Adonai our God and God of our ancestors, grant that this month bring us blessing, and bestow on us a long life, a life that is peaceful, a life that is good, a life that is blessed, a life with proper sustenance, a life with physical vitality, a life conscious of heaven's demands and wary of sin, a life free of shame and reproach, a life of abundance and honor, a life of love of Torah, conscious of heaven's demands, a life in which the worthy desires of our hearts are fulfilled.
Amen.
Misha sanisim lavotenu, Misha sanisim limotenu, ve'alotam me'avdo lecherut, yigal otan bekarov, v'yikabetz nilachenu me'arba kanfot haaretz, chaverim go Yisrael, ונאמר אמן. ראש חודש תמוז יהיה ביום חמישי ויום שישי הבא עלינו ועל כל ישראל לטובה.
ראש חודש תמוז, יהיה ביום החמישי ויום השישי, הבא עלינו ועל כל ישראל לטובה.
ויחדשהו הקדוש ברוך הוא עלינו ועל כל עמו בית ישראל לחיים ולשלום, לששון ושמחה, לישועה ונחמה, ונאמר אמן. הללויה שם אדוני, נברא לבדו, הודו הארץ לשמיים, וירן קרן לעמו, תהילה לכל חסידה לבני ישראל, עם ירובו, הללויה, הללויה. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים, הבו לאדוני כבודות, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמם, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש.
כה אדוני אל המים, אל הכבוד ירים, אדוני אל המים
רק קול אדוני והדר, קול אדוני שובר ארזים,
וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקיתם כמו עגל, לבנון וציריון, כמו בין רהימים.
קול אדוני חוצב אש, קול אדוני יכיל מדבר, קול אדוני
מדבר קדש, קול אדוני
יכול אל איילון.
ויחשוף יערות ובחלוק,
ולא מרחבות,
אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום, את חיים
May be seated. These guys are on fire, taking over the shul. I love it. Shikaya. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Everyone may be seated. Our mensch in the trench, John Kamen, is our usher to Shabbos. He didn't know that, but he got voluntold. All right. He's passing out our Devar Torah. So this is amazing. What we're going to do is our typical thing. We are going to study a piece of the Torah portion of the week, and with a commentary. And we have people here on Zoom, our regular Zoom chevra here, who will invite to make comments if you'd like on the Zoom chat and stuff like that. And we got people here in the shul. We're actually going to invite you as well if you would be interested. We would love to hear your opinions, especially on middle schoolers, on the Torah discussion we have. And what we'll do, because we want to make sure everyone in the cyber world hears, is that Jenny and I will repeat what you say, summarize it, just make sure everyone can hear it. So with masks, you can speak clearly and stuff like that, do the best you can. All right? It's great to be back. All right. Rabbi Jenny noted before, I mentioned it too a little bit, Shlach Lecha. It's all about, the main story is sending the spies, the Miraglim, into the Promised Land to see how's it going. And as was noted, Some think it's amazing. Actually, all of them think it's amazing from an agricultural perspective. They think it's amazing. But the question is, there's people there. They're very large in stature. They kind of got maybe some muscles, it might be. And 10 of the 12 are like, bad news. Survey says thumbs down. Don't think it's a good idea. I'm nervous, etc. And 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, say, you know what? I think we can do it anyway. No matter what, I think we can come and conquer the land. And we're going to get into this a little more deeply into what do the 10 spies who think the bad news, they have a very specific, famous line that they say. A little hint, it deals with the grasshoppers, okay? Not cicadas, but grasshoppers are coming in, all right? So be ready. And we're going to get into this word, this line, this verse specifically about how these spies come to see the world in such a way where they think that our people can't succeed. Where does that come from? Perhaps through their words, we can put them on the couch, a little Freud here, and see what is going on inside their soul and their head, their thinking, that leads them to believe that we cannot achieve our dreams. All right, so with that, I'm going to ask Rabbi Jay. She will read out the verses from the Torah from Numbers 13.
But the men who had gone up with Caleb, said, "We cannot attack that people, for it is stronger than we." Thus they spread, basically gossip, among the Israelites about the land that they had scouted, saying, "The country that we traversed and scouted is one that devours its settlers. All the people that we saw in it are men of great size. We saw the Nephilim there, which are sort of known to be like giants. The Anakites are part of the Nephilim, and we looked like grasshoppers to ourselves. And so we were in their eyes."
All right, so just check out that line. We looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we were in their eyes. Gewalt. That's a lot of information for someone to think about themselves. Not only a grasshopper in your own eyes, but you're sure of what they think in the other person's eyes. Any comments here or thoughts about this issue just off the bat? Maybe start with Rabbi Jay. Anything you want to say off the bat about their comment here about what they say themselves in their own eyes, or wait for the commentary?
Well, at the most basic level, and I'm sure many of you are thinking about this, it's a reminder to us that our own self-image, how we perceive ourselves, we then often project onto others around us.
Okay.
So there is a psychological and energetic connection between how we view ourselves. We think about it maybe back to Leviticus when he says, love your neighbor as yourself. We understand that the way we experience ourselves in the world is inextricably connected to how others experience us.
Yefet. And just because I got tennis on the mind, I remember when I was in high school, and tennis, some of you know, some of you know very well, being tall and being big and brawny is not necessarily, I'm not saying it's not chopped liver, it's helpful, okay? But being, other size is not the number one factor for all aspects of tennis. I remember when I went one time when I was a freshman, and I was invited to play against a senior. And just walking out onto the court, and it was like, yes, have a good match. I looked up like this. I said, oy vey, like the intimidation, because I looked, it's like, I just felt so shrimpy and kosher shrimp, okay? I felt very kosher shrimpy, and I look up, and so, it's intimidating, even if in the end, some, maybe young whippersnapper wins the match in the end, right? But just the experience of the beginning, the first impression, what you see, it's not just what you're looking at over there, it's how it makes you feel about yourself.
And by the way,
they didn't even say anything, by the way.
And by the way, size is really in the eye of the beholder. So
exactly.
Their perception was that these people who lived in the land were huge,
right?
But not necessarily.
Exactly. Like, have everyone here had the chance to see RBG in person, right? Not a tall person.
Very diminutive.
But not intimidating. No one, she didn't look at, no one, it's like she didn't appear to be intimidated by anyone who was taller than her, okay?
Right.
That wasn't an issue for her, and intellectually, there was no one taller than her, right? She didn't have that issue, it appears. She had a certain self-confidence. I don't care if someone looks at me as if, she didn't see the world like she's a grasshopper. Like, that's how she didn't see the world about herself. That reflected how she entered into the world. So this says a lot about, clearly, these 10 spies, that they're looking at themselves in this way.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at the commentary, and I'm going to open up for some more conversation in the chat about this idea about, how they look at themselves. So this is a midrash, makes a comment specifically going more detail about this grasshopper, how we look issue. It says,
The Holy One said to the scouts, "You don't know what you have just let your mouths utter. I am ready to put up with your saying, we were in our own eyes as grasshoppers. But I do take offense at your asserting, and so we were in their eyes. Could you possibly know how I made you appear in their eyes? How do you know? But that in their eyes you were like angels."
Yefeh. So the Midrash is saying, let's get more specific about the two phrases. One says, we look like grasshoppers to ourselves. He says, fine, beseder.
Fine, that's your experience.
Exactly, that's your experience. You feel like chopped liver. Beseder, no problem, you're nothing. But don't predetermine what another person is looking at you. In fact, especially if you look at that person seeing you negatively, you've pre-decided that someone else, in a sense, I don't know if it's a sin, but you've decided to not give them the benefit of the doubt, that they're going to look at you as if you're bad or less than. Don't pre-decide that for somebody else. Let them have their own experience, and actually the fact is that's reflecting you are projecting you onto somebody else, and that is, God basically says, that's where you've crossed the line. It's okay to feel insecure in your own feeling. It's not okay to tell somebody else, I know that's how you look at me as well.
And we make a great error when we assume that what other people see is how we feel on the inside.
Exactly. All right, so before we go even more deeper about this, anyone here in our congregation, maybe perhaps in our middle school, for example, look at, we have to start with our teachers as well. Maura, Deborah, what do you suggest here in terms of this thing?
The whole issue of identity.
Ken.
Which is something that we talk about a lot. How do people identify? Who are they identified as? It's Pride Month. We talk about how people identify in terms of gender, but also in terms of culture and race. And I just read an article about a scholar who's been identifying as Native American. And it turns out that genetically she probably is not Native American. But she's been a major advocate for Native American studies and Native American issues and so on and so forth for like 20-some years. And there was a whole question about how she perceive herself, how is she perceived by others. Should her work then be discounted because genetically she doesn't appear to be Native American, although that's how she identifies. We've had issues with other people who identified as African American or whatever, and then it turned out that they were not, again, genetically, biologically. Does that mean that they're not who they say they are, who they think they are, who they've been perceived as by the rest of the world? So when I look at this, I'm thinking about issues of identity and how do we identify and how do we project that identity and what does that mean about who we are in the world and how other people perceive us, and then in turn how we are, how we act in the world.
So to summarize what Deborah said, she gave an example, but basically she's basically saying that this is actually a question, if you bring it like a little more 30,000 feet, about how do you identify yourself. This is the people here are identifying themselves in a particular way. First of all, is that accurate, is a question. And then it's also about how they're perceived in the world. And in the end, I think Deborah, I'm giving a little drash here, but I think your point's being said is that the perception is as important as the reality. Whether they are objectively small or big is I guess you could say it's a discussion, but they felt small, and that's how they identified themselves. And they decided that other people were going to look at this way. It's really a question of how you present yourself to the world. And that's not just a biological question or a scientific question. It's like a social question. It's a question. And it affects how you behave is how you look at yourself. Absolutely. Do I see myself as a smart person or a child or as a person who's good or bad? All these things, how I look at myself or how people look at me. Look, how a teacher looks at a student too has a big effect on how that student performs. All these things are perception. They're not just objective. They're subjective. You fit? Okay. Rachel Ilana, what do you say? Exactly. That is so profound. What Rachel Cohen just said is basically, and she's involved in psychological work and social work, that many people need interaction. Like the first part says, right, fine, you feel like a grasshopper. Okay, that's normal. It's a little level of insecurity. However, when you determine someone else thinks and you're reacting to that and you're imagining that and making assumptions about that, even she mentioned, like, even without even saying it, like it's something you just think because of whatever background you have, you create a whole other set of problems for yourself because you've decided someone else looks at you that way. You fit. All right, let me give Charlotte a chance over here. Charlotte, what do you say?
I just wanted to say, I remember reading somewhere that a lot of people are so preoccupied about what others think of them that
Yep.
they don't bother to think about other people.
That is so true. Charlotte just said, some people are so obsessed what others think of them that they're not actually paying attention to the other person. They're just worried about what they're thinking about. Is that what you said, basically? Yeah. So it's like, I'm having an interaction, and I'm just thinking, what is she thinking about me? As opposed to actually thinking about the other person. It's like, enough about me, let's talk about me. It's a lot about me, as opposed to linking them. And that's actually another profound commentary, Rabbi Charlotte. I love it. One of the problems here is they're so obsessed with themselves, basically. All right, that's amazing. I love that. All right,
Rondi came.
Rondi and Annalema. Okay, Rondi,
Yep,
what do you
and then came.
Okay, Cayman.
This is like the case of negative self-talk.
Yes.
Right? Which is in and of itself not a godly thing to do, right?
Exactly.
God doesn't want us to look at ourselves. So we have to change that, and that's a more godly act, and therefore it's like an angel.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Ronnie, but in a whole other piece, like the angelic piece that was raised in the godly commentary here, and it says, look, God wants us to look more positively at ourselves and have, what she said, not negative self-talk, which is everyone has that challenge, but positive self-talk, that we were made in the image of God. That should be the recurring refrain, not we're grasshoppers. That's a beautiful idea. You fit. Anna Lemma, what do you say?
We are all our own worst critics. This is a reminder.
Yes.
Everybody who was on the Viva this morning, if you were shaking so hard you couldn't catch your breath.
Yes.
If you forgot a melody, if you had to repeat a word you said wrong, nobody else cared. They even noticed, like what Charlotte said.
Exactly. That is so true. I feel like we should give this as a teaching for every bar and bar mitzvah student. This is exactly right. So Anna is adding on to basically, look, this is about, how would you say, people's ability to, they're nervous and scared because people are so worried, especially kids that came up on the Bima today. It's been a long time. Some are out of practice. Some are learning. Some are
Still learning.
Learning, right. So some are not up to, haven't had the Bima mitzvah yet, right? So they're nervous. How are they going to look at me? Am I embarrassing myself? No, everyone was like, we have love for you. It's okay. No one was judging you that harshly. Although, by the way, it's very common for B'nai Mitzvah students to be very stressed out. We were stressed at our B'nai, well, Jenny wasn't, but I was stressed at my Bar Mitzvah, okay? I was very nervous, I remember, okay? But it's okay. It's all right. But just chill about what everyone thinks about me. Although it's a very common thing. And think about, hey, I contributed, and I did a fairly good job. And I even got up there was brave. It was brave itself. Kol hakavod. All right, Cayman.
And when I'm asked about that question, I say that I'm Jewish. And people say, well, Judaism's not an ethnicity, it's a religion. And I was always taught that when my family came over from Europe, we were never considered to be citizens of those countries. So I don't identify as Russian, German, Polish,
right.
Whatever the mix,
Eastern European mix, right.
But I want to project that I'm Jewish.
Yes.
I consider that to be my ethnicity.
Okay.
If someone doesn't agree with that,
Exactly. They can be a grasshopper. So John's basically saying here, like, one of the challenges of being Jewish, particularly in the American Western context, is that some people say, what's your ethnicity? And he's like, I'm Jewish. Some people don't understand that ethnicity. And this is actually, really, John's another conversation about being Jewish. Like, we're a people, we're a nation, we're a community, and and we're a religion. But also, but it's part of who your identity, it's what your identity, and by the way, that's like, what's powerful, because John's saying, and this is, again, really complex, right? He's saying, my grandparents or whatever all came from Eastern Europe, but he doesn't call himself Russian, Polish, and Carpathian Mountains, and Anatevka, and all that stuff, right? That's not how you identify yourself. So it's also about what you determine, in a sense, your own identity. You decide what you're going to put forward into the world. It doesn't really, in the end, matter what someone else is going to tell you about that. You put that forward. But it's interesting, what you're also saying, though, I want to be clear, you're implying you're proud of it. Like, it's a source of pride. So instead of saying, oh, I'm, ethnically Jewish, or I'm a grasshopper. No, this is who I am. Deal with it, essentially, in a loving way. Okay, deal with it. This is who I am, and I'm proud of it. I'm not going to back down from that identity, and I don't need you to judge who my identity. I get to determine what my identity is. You're fit. All right, Mr. Rosson over there.
So it's sort of like if you go into a sports game, like a tennis game, and think, oh, this person's obviously better than me.
Yep.
I'm going to lose. You're going to go out and lose. If you go out thinking, I'm a grasshopper, when you see somebody, you're going to act small and timid because they're just so much bigger than you.
Coach Rosson on fire. Yes. I want to tell you this. You heard what he says? Amazing.
Sports psychology 101.
Exactly. If you go into the match saying you're going to lose, you're going to get stomped on. Now, and if you don't, and I want to tell you, some of you know one of my highlights of my life was I was a field goal kicker in high school, okay? And I remember the first time I was so nervous at the camp I went to at University of Maryland, and and I've been practicing, and the coach is like, everyone get off the tee, get off the field. And that's the first thing they taught us, is if you cannot imagine it going through the uprights, it never will. It never will. And I hate to say this, but Adam Vinatieri is like the best at this, the New England Patriot guy. Unbelievable. If you can imagine it happening, then you have the potential. If you already decide it's not going to happen, it really won't happen, or you'll make it harder for yourself, right? So it's a great point. By the way, I think one of the things we haven't touched on, by the way, a lot of the focus of the verse is on the eyes. It's a lot about seeing and perception and getting confused by what you see. Just because someone is quote-unquote bigger than you, right, or doesn't mean you're not going to win. You can't give it over too quickly. You have to give it yourself a shot. Kol hakavod, coach. I love it. All right. Anybody up? Okay, we have some people. Now, we're going to bring the cyber. We're not going to diss them. All right. Let's see what Barry Ostro says. If you feel incapable, you will be. If you think you can, you will at least try. If you think you must and will, every part of you will be committed and driven as far as you can go. This is like kind of a continuation of Coach Rosson. I love it. Dr. Perlstadt, the Nephilim were leaders who fell away from their mission and trust in Moses and Adonai. So how you're bringing in a little more detail about, I guess, the Nephilim with this commentary. Who are these large, big people that were living in the land? He's actually saying they were actually leaders of the people who actually went away and did their own journey in a sense. Leah Pollack. So true, Barry. Recently listened to Star Talk, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who paraphrasing the following: ambition can exceed expectation. Biology, external predetermination from others. Ambition is that strong. The topic was the science of learning, that level of focus and diligence as shared by the people in the room. They show up, they try. It's inspiring. Like the attempt to push through what someone might say negatively or your own self-negative talk is actually itself inspiring. You're fit. Any thoughts, Rabbi J?
Yeah, I just thought we would close it. There's a part at the end of the Torah portion which we did not read this morning, but that actually talks about the tzitzit. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting question, what connects this mitzvah of tying these knots onto our talit and this whole episode with the spies. And I want to make this connection between our self-image. I think one of the things that's so powerful about this story, and we are all relating to it because it's part of the human experience to go through moments in our lives, developmental stages in our lives where we are actively building self-trust, where we're building up that sense of our identity, that sense of confidence and capacity and ambition, that part of ourselves that says, we can do it, or at least I'm going to try. But we forget. And there are moments where it's really hard to access that. And when I look at my tzitzit, part of what I remember is that I'm part of something much bigger. And it's a moment to sort of remind me to step out of that small mind and into that more expansive mind. That I'm part of a people that came from slavery and oppression and found their way to freedom, to remember that we have, no matter our size, we have an important role in this world and a real mandate of how to use our lives. And so when I look at these, I feel that sense of obligation, that sense of privilege, that sense of being a part of something bigger. And I think it's human to feel small, like a grasshopper at moments, But it's also human, and it's also part of our Jewish mandate to remember that we're part of something holy, something sacred, and something much bigger.
Amen, amen, amen. Shekach, everybody. Kol
So
hakavod.
we
Awesome.
are going to continue now with
Okay.
Musaf, with Chatzi
And
Kaddish,
pass your text over to John Kamen again. He'll be our mensch. We'll collect them together.
page 184 or something else. Oh, great. Charlotte's going
Charlotte.
to lead us.
Okay.
184.
So we invite all to please rise. 184, Charlotte will lead us in Chatzi Kaddish.
Wait, no. Hold on.
Pass this up. Make sure it's green. Green.
Yitkada, Vitkada, Shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divra kirute, ve'almich malchute.
V'hayehonu v'yomehonu v'chaylecho b'et Yisrael.
Bagala, bagala, ubizman kariv.
Nimeru,
Amen. Yeshmera v'mevorach. Eolam v'mehamaya yitbarach.
Yitbarach, Vishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitroman, V'yitnase, V'yithadar, V'yitale, V'yithalal, Shmei Kedusha, Le'ela, Min Kol Birchata, V'shirata,
Tush v'chata v'nehemata, Daviran v'yamah. So everybody place our feet together. Pages 185 to 187. We daven as a congregation. The rest is done silent.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agit Tehilatecha, Baruch
Atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Egonei Hakol, Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Goel Livneihem, Lemad Shemo Yahva, Melech Ozer, Fokein Moshiach Umakim. Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Fokei Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Metim et Harav Yoshia. Morid Atal, Ehakel Chaim Bechesed, Ehayei Metim Berachamim Rabim, Somer Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umehayim Emunato, Mishnei Afar Miramov Habal Gevurot, Umidom Elav, Elememit, Umehayeh, Umatzmiah Yeshua.
Ne'eman Atah L'Hachayot Metim, Baruch Atah Adonai,
V'Shemo.
Chayei HaMetim.
Amen.
Na'ari
Lecha v'na'adishecha, Ezodi azarchei kodesh, Hamakdishim kodesh, Kakadu Aliyah Nevi'eha, Nekaras el Zeve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Elohim haaretz kevodo.
Kevodo Ma'alei
Ma'alei olam kevodo. Kevodo ma'alei olam kevodo. Kevodo ma'alei olam. Esharat shoalim zelazeh. Egon kevodo. Esharat shoalim zelazeh. Egon kevodo.
Lematan Baruch Yom
Baruch Adonai Mikomo. Mikomo. Yiverami. Yahona. Am Yachadim Shemo. Evavoge. Behoyon Tamid. Amahiyah. Shaorim. Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad. Eloheinu. Avinu. Malkeinu. Hoshienu. Yashmienu. Berahama. She'enit le'nei kol had. Le'olam Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Udirei v'ashecha. Ta'azu le'emor. Im lo na'yalam ra'izion le'rorador. Hallelujah.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. לשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Amen.
Oh, say. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru,
Amen. We now turn to page 203 for Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
ואלמד דברה קירותי ואלמיך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דרכו בישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו
אמן. ישמע ויבורך לעולם ועמיה יברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומן ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתחלל שמי לקודשה.
בריחו.
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו
אמן.
תתקבל סלטכון ובאותכון קדם אבוהון די ושמיא ויאמרו
אמן.
יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו
אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויאמרו אמן.
Yasher Koch, Charlotte, beautiful job. We now bring Fred up. Help lead us, page 204. Ein Kelohenu.
Ein Kelohenu,
Ein Adonenu, Ein Gemalkeinu, Ein Ashienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Gemalkeinu, Mi Ashienu. Nor el Eloheinu, nor el Adonenu, nor el Malkeinu, nor el Mashienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Mosheinu, Atahu Shiktir. Please rise. Nenu levanecha et oret hasamim, Aleinu leshaveach l'Adon hakom, Gdula leotzer breshit, Shelo asanu b'nei haratzot, Shelo zamanu yishvechot ha'adama, Shelo zamanu gaher, Gor aleinu yechol hamonam, V'anachnu korim u'mishtahavim u'modim lifnei Melech HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו. We're now on page 207. We invite those in mourning observing a yard site this Shabbat to rise for Kaddish Yatom, page 207. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal l'shmei l'kodisha v'yichum. Leila min kol brechata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Damiran bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu v'akod Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'akod Yisrael v'akod yoshvei tevel v'yimru. Amen. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. A big mazel tov and shakach to all of our amazing participants. Kol hakavod to Kathy Kaplan for helping get that organizing super gabbai duties amazing. We are so proud of everyone, to our teachers and everyone. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's back and on their living room couches. Okay, you too. We're thinking of you guys too. All right. Some announcements. So tomorrow is the last day of religious school. I didn't even here. There's a special celebration from 10 to 12. We have many, of course, tomorrow at 9. 10 to 12. Anything to say about Kathy, or just come and hang out and party? Celebration?
It's the final day of classes for K through 5.
K through 5, sorry, yeah.
Y'all are welcome to come on back.
Okay, if you wish.
But it's really the K through 5.
Okay, K through 5, got it. Okay, it's K through 5 tomorrow, you fit. Then tomorrow night, Monday night, is our 146th annual meeting. You can sign up. It will be all on Zoom. Look forward to a lot of exciting, not only votes, but also information about a reopening task force. I'm going to have some exciting announcements. If you'd like to review documents, you can come stop by the shul tomorrow in the morning during religious school hours, basically from 9:30 to 12. And come vote. Vote for the various things going on Monday night, June 7th at 7:30. Look ahead, we have other Monday night programs coming up, including a special movie called A Separate Voice, a documentary film and discussion with the director on Monday, June 14th. Amy Rips is starting a new class, March Through Jewish History, on Wednesdays at 11 a.m., I think through the summer schedule. And if you would like to help be part of a Jewish COVID-19 vaccine initiative in the Jewish community throughout the Triangle, we at Beth Meyer particularly are joining with Judea Reform, a Reform temple in Durham, together to do everything we can to help support historically marginalized populations here in our Wake County or Triangle area who might have some challenges getting access to the vaccine and helping facilitate vaccine initiatives. If you'd like to volunteer and do a big, big mitzvah to help make that happen with all kinds of logistical pieces of that, we could use your help. Roberta Blumberg and Sarah First are in charge of this. You can just email the office or contact the office or contact any of the staff here, and we'll put you in touch with them. It's a big, big mitzvah. We have Minyan, of course, I said tomorrow 9, Wednesday at 7, Kabbalat Shabbat at 8, and we are entering our summer periods. But heads up, as things begin to, please God, open up, we are going to have some Friday night dinners over the course of the summer here in the field outside, so stay forward, look out for them, and some other programs in the summer too as we start to take these wonderful steps forward towards the promised land. We spied it out, and we think we can make it in, all right? So we're looking forward to the future. With that, we are now going to conclude our davening. Is it me, or is it okay. We're gonna conclude with Adon Olam, page 211. Adon Olam asher malav v'terango yitzir nira li'enasa ezogo azay melech shemo nikra v'yarek ilot agol levado ilot nora ohaya Elohaz v'hamisra v'hu eli v'chai go'ali etzorchev li v'yetzara eonisi omanos li menat gosi. Please rise. Avgid ruchi v'yedishan v'yahira Ve'im rochi eliyati Adonai ve'lo ira
Came berach Adonai et Yom HaShabbat v'yikachehu savri
L'chaim
Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri agafen
Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom outside for Kiddush. Shabbat shalom everyone. Shabbat shalom everyone. Shabbat shalom.
We'll see you there.